Hey, this lesson is about properties, and I want to talk to you about two very important properties today that exist in numeration, and I need you to be able to identify them and use them because they're used so much in algebra, all right? So the two properties I want to focus on in this lesson are the commutative property and the associative property. So let's just talk about what they mean, okay? The commutative property says that you can take values and reverse them, and when you work them out, you get the same answer, okay? So the commutative property exists in addition and also in multiplication. So let's just kind of talk about this notation. A and B are representing two different numbers. So this is like saying if I take A plus B, but I write it in a reversed way, I still get the same answer. You're like taking a couple of things. I think commutative starts with C, a couple of numbers, and I change their order. So that's the way I remember it. Commutative starts with C, couple of numbers, couple starts with C, change their order, change starts with C. And that's the way I remember it. If you have variables that are stuck together like this, that means multiplication. I can read this as A times B is equal to B times A. So that's what the commutative property is all about. So let's just think about some numerical examples that would make this true. If I said, 4 plus 3, is that the same as adding 3 plus 4? Yes. They both give me 7. What if I take those numbers and I multiply them? 4 times 3, does that give me the same as 3 times 4? Yes, it does. 12 and 12. So I know commutative property works in addition and multiplication. Does not work in subtraction. It doesn't work in division. So a way to disprove something in mathematics is think of an example that disproves it. I mean, if I use those same numbers and said, hey, is 4 minus 3 the same as 3 minus 4? No, because look at what happens. 4 minus 3 is 1, but 3 minus 4, add the opposite, is negative 1. These are not equivalent. So, commutative property does not work in subtraction, nor does it work in division. Okay? Commutative property, I'll remember it because C, things change order. Let's talk about our other property, which is the associative property. The associative property is about grouping of numbers when you're working with them in numerical operations. So it means that I could take A plus B, add them together, get a sum, and then add it to a third quantity. I could work that out, and it'd still give me the same sum if I worked B plus C first, got a sum, and then added A. How does that work with numerical values? Well, let's just throw some in there. So we got 1 plus 2, parentheses mean I would add that first, what's in parentheses. Is that the same as this notation? The associative property says yes, it is. So here's what would happen if I work that out. Using parentheses first here, 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 then would give me 6. Over here I would say 2 plus 3 first. 1 plus 5 gives me 6. These are equivalent. The associative property has 3 items in it, 3 quantities or terms. 1, 2, 3 on each side of the equal mark. This also works in multiplication. A times B, the product there, multiplied by C would still be the same as if I multiplied B and C first and then multiplied by A. Let's throw in some numbers. Is 1 times 2, added together first, multiplied by 3, going to give me the same thing as this? Let's work both of those out. 1 times 2 is 2, times 3 gives me 6. 2 times 3 over here is 6. Bring my 1 down. 1 times 6 is 6. Yes. Watch this video as many times as you need to make sure you are familiar with both the commutative and the associative properties.